Hello and welcome. This is a quick unedited video on how to beat the spacer start of the Nexerelin mod. I'm going to make sure that I am not cheating by making this quote-unquote as hard as possible for myself. You can access the start by doing custom start and then spacer start. The niche of this start is that you start with no money, you start with a kite that has no weapons, and you have a debt that you have to pay that scales with your level. But yeah, the only tricky part really, because the debt is actually really small, even when it scales with your level. The tricky part is at the beginning, how to get started. You can basically do 3 different things. Either a spy set mission, which is probably the worst option, but sometimes it's the only one. Let me decrease the volume. The other options are deploy spy set, death drop, and analyze derelict missions. Derelict missions can be accessed through here, they're completely random. So this one, for example, is in Narnia and I can't really reach it. If I had the ability to scan this planet, I could do this one, for example, but I don't. So we're just gonna look at bars. This is the storyteller. I'm playing with second in command, which means that this is a little bit harder because usually what you would do is you would take the the 2 blue skills in the skill tree, the 2 first ones, and this is completely useless for this challenge. That would allow you to have transverse jump. It would reduce your sensor profile. It would give you a bunch of nice buffs, right? Which we don't have accessible, so there's nothing on this planet. We're gonna look here. I think this is just for completely useless. Going to a pirate planet is not great. Where is this? Can we reach that? Probably not, right? It's here, I think, in Lilin, right? Yeah, it's too far, unfortunate. Pirate planets are more likely to have... Okay. I have survived. Holy shit. You don't really want to get close to pirate planets if you can help it. But it worked out. Sinister woman in the Bram booth. That's an investment. This is one of the vanilla quests. Oh my god, get me out. That doesn't matter, it's just a contact from a mod. Yeah, there's nothing in the system sadly, so we're gonna have to go away. And look else. Are you fucking kidding me? We're gonna have to look elsewhere. If you don't skip the main quest line, you can actually go to Galatia and do quests there. That would be a 4th option, I guess, but I do consider that to be too easy, so I'm not gonna do it. Can I go here? I could buy fuel. Yeah, let's do that. I think I can do this mission. Should be close enough. I'll jump in here, get a little bit of fuel, and then I should be able to reach this analyze derelict mission. That's probably the most consistent option out of the 3 realistic options you have at the beginning. But yeah. Let's jump in here, turn your transponder on. Get fuel in the black market if possible, because it's a little bit cheaper. One thing that you should consider always, when you start out with this start, you always have Insulated Engine Assembly on your ship, which is super nice. And what's also super nice is having a militarized subsystem, because that also reduces your sensor profile. Sensor profile is super important at the beginning here, because if you have to do a spy set deployment, for example, the bigger your signature, the easier it is for the patrols to spot you while you're trying to do this, right? So, and it's also easier for pirates to find you and stuff like this. So, I very much recommend that you immediately do military subsystems and on top of your insulated engine assembly on this. It's gonna ask you to put more crew on your ships, but it's not necessary. And yeah, let's just immediately go away into the mission. So, where is the thing? Some distance away. When you take these quests, it will tell you roughly where the item you're looking for is. So in this case, it's some distance away from the center, which is, I believe, the worst thing you can get, because it doesn't really... Hello. It doesn't really limit the area in which you can find the item, which kinda sucks. We have almost no fuel, but this should work out. I'm gonna immediately go into dark. What is this? The mineral probe, that's the payment thingy, so spacer obligation. Here you can see right now it's 1,000. At level 2 will be 1,500. It's basically 500 money plus 500 money multiplied by your level. So at level 1 is going to be 1,000, and level 2 is going to be 1,500. Level 3 is going to be 2,000. It's, in my opinion, a little bit trivial. Okay, I guess I can sell that to Tritech. I was hoping for some fuel, but that's fine. Maybe I can scavenge. Please. Oh god. One crewman. I am literally by myself on this ship now. Okay, that's probably the item we're looking for. Nice, 60k. Okay, so this is now the tricky part. I have no fuel. It doesn't look like I can realistically do much here. So this is a safe system. So I'm gonna do stress beacon now. Distress call. And we're just gonna wait. You should go to the inner system jump point. Okay, fleet showed up. And you can accept the comm request. And they will give you a little bit of free fuel. And I'm not gonna pay, and they're gonna get match. But I can suck a fat one, I don't care. With this fuel we can go back. And now it gets much easier. The start is basically beat. The follow-up strategy to this is to buy a dram. And with a dram you can do these missions as much as you want, because you're gonna have basically unlimited fuel. Any planet will usually have drams. Yeah, see, there's 2 of them here, no demods, which is very nice. None in the black market, which means you have to spend a little bit more money, but that's okay. Just gonna buy 1, we don't need any more. We're immediately gonna do militarized subsystems. In a perfect world, when I look into the stuff here, the whole mod, this has happened. 3 different attempts that I've done this. I don't know if this is guaranteed or not, but it's a bit crazy. You really want the Insulated Engine Assembly hull mod if you can get it, because it's really, really good. It decreases the signature, right? So it's really nice. So now I have a very small sensor profile. Right now I have more sensor strength than I have sensor profile, which means I see things before they see me. Very handy. Then we're gonna get some crew. As much crew as you can. As many supplies as you can. Usually it will be 45, but I got a random gamma core from the thing that I scanned. And then as much fuel as you can. And the start is basically a bit at this point, but I'm gonna continue for a bit just to show that it is indeed basically bit. You can check for missions here. Private booth. This is an investment thingy. Private table. This is a ship, but it's a hammerhead, so I don't care for it. And that's a key to loot a planet. Let's go to Cibola. I love the scan. They didn't find the gamma core. Even if they did, I would just drop it and it will be fine. I will lose a little bit of reputation, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really do anything because they wouldn't go immediately hostile. There are no missions right now. Okay, nothing here. So we're just gonna go to a different planet now. Always remember to turn off your transponder, and you could also use a quality of life mod that automatically turns it off. The name of that mod is Quality of Life Pack. You can find it in the forums as usual. Always transponder on when you enter someone's space. What do you have? This is probably gonna be... Yes, this is a raid. Not interested. You could also start trading at this point. But I think it's slower to get started with that. What do you want? You also want to loot something? Not really interested. Render 4. Am I blind? Oh, here. Nothing. This is a blueprint. I would also be reviewing each market to see ships that you could buy. Really good ships you can pick up. Skipper. For the price, it's insane. 50 cargo capacity, 70 cargo capacity and 100 maximum crew. Buying one of these is a really good option. Right now, while you're still trying to make a little bit more money, you shouldn't buy it. But after you do 1 or 2 more missions, you should definitely look into buying a Skipper or so if you can't buy a better ship, of course, or if you didn't find one that you could salvage. The fleet that I would be aiming to build would be realistically a couple Skippers, a couple of Wayfarers. Wayfarers are also really good. I don't know if there's any that I can show you. Yes, perfect. And this is no demods, which is really nice. They have really good cargo capacity for the price and a little bit of fuel capacity, although we don't really care about that right now because with the dram we can go anywhere. And this is nice. 150 cargo capacity will allow you to carry, if you find like a research station, for example, you can carry usually the weapons that you would find there. We would not really look for any escorts unless you find nomads, which is a high-tech ship. It is completely broken, and if I find one I will show you why it is so powerful. But yeah, no missions, which is a bit annoying. I'm gonna use transverse jump. Oh, mission popped up and we can just take it. It doesn't matter what it is because with the dram we can literally go anywhere in the entire sector. We can go to the abyss right now. We can go to limbo. It doesn't matter. We can go up here. It doesn't matter. We can literally go anywhere with 1 dram and a little bit of fuel. It's completely insane. But yeah, I'm just gonna go directly to that mission. And it's in a jump point. Okay, that is probably the best. I'm also gonna go to that one. And then I will probably call it there for this little unedited guide to go as fast as possible. If you're going fast like this, you should care for one thing. Obviously I'm hitting space storms and I'm losing a little bit of supply because of that, but it's fine. Your fleet consumes basically no supplies as it is. The things that you should look for are hostile fleets. These are usually present at the beginning or end of slipstreams. So like right here, it could be a pirate fleet. You can find 1 of 3 fleets. Mercenary company, they won't care about you. They're there to kill pirates and Lodic path. Pirates, which is the worst one you can get, because they will just kill you. And Lodic path, which will just charge you a little bit of money. The money they charge you is based on the type of ships and the amount of ships that you have on your fleet. Are you friendly? That is not friendly. I am in danger. There's a gate here. So, okay, it doesn't look like they're hostile. Good. Or we're just gonna look at the jump points. Okay, they are hostile. They just didn't aggro at the beginning. Convenient. But yeah, that stuff that you saw is an artillery base. These watchtowers allow it to aim at you or other hostile fleets, and they come from the Industrial Evolution mod. Highly recommended. Okay, so we found the ship that we needed to scan. It's a Tempest. Could recover it, but not really interested. And I'm also not interested in salvaging anything. I have 29 supplies, I have plenty. Relative to the consumption, of course, of the ship or the fleet that I'm using. To call this a fleet is a little bit... That could be hostile, I'm not... No. Not doing that. If they're orbiting a jump point, it's oftentimes hostile people. So let's jump here and let's just get out and let's go to the next one. But yeah. This is like the roughest start that you can have in Starsector, pretty much. But beating it is actually kind of trivial. You can get out of slipstreams by doing emergency burn and then holding left click to tell your fleet where to go. If you only do emergency burn, it's not going to do anything. But emergency burn increases the maneuverability and responsiveness of your fleet a ton. So here I would like to get some supplies if possible. Another gate, okay. If I was starting with the... Well, actually I won't say anything. No spoilers for this video, no spoilers. Okay, those don't look like pirates, thankfully. Where is this, by the way? Orbiting the gate, okay. Perfect. So it should be here. I don't see any... Oh! Are you friendly? I don't know if you're friendly. There's a bunch of modded ships here, it doesn't really matter. If you find something that you want to salvage, don't salvage it, just mark it. And then when you have a little bit more supplies and crew, come back. You can find cool ships while you're scavenging. And sometimes you will greed and try to get them, even though you're not in a position to actually do that. What you can do is you can go into the map and you can actually set a marker. So I could say cool ship. That's not how you spell cool. Jesus Christ, help me. Okay. And now you have a permanent marker for the specific derelict ship that you want. You can do this with like anything, like a good planet that you would maybe want to colonize later, that you found while exploring, right? You can see them at fleet log, and you can see them on marker. And you could have markers all over the place for ships or stuff that you want to check on later. You could also mark other cool things that you find. Maybe not ships or planets, but maybe, I don't know, other things. And yeah, now I have 180k. I can pretty much do anything I want. Ships to look out for. One specific ship that is really hard to find, at least for me personally, it's always really hard to find, is an apogee cruiser. It's basically the best early game ship you can get, at least with the way I like to play. It's a fairly decent cruiser for punching down, and by punching down I mean killing frigates basically, and early game enemies. It has a really good shield and it's 360. And it has a decent amount of firepower with a large missile and a large energy slot. So yeah, I would recommend that you put an autopulse, an ion beam, and a locust swarmer on any apogee that you can get your hands on, specifically at the beginning. The reason it's so good is because it has survey equipment, which is a very good hull mod at the beginning. Let's see if I can find anything else that is useful. Not really. Are you friendly? Probably not. Okay. But yeah, this is basically how you beat it. 1400 in the face of 180k is nothing. I would like to get some supplies, but I'm not seeing anything I can realistically... Orbital habitat. Okay, this is gonna have some supplies for sure. That's decent enough for me. Okay. And we can reloot actually. We have a chance at getting colony items here. Small spoiler I guess, but there are special items that you can loot while you're exploring. Yeah, let's just get out. Please don't follow me. Thank you. And yeah, now we just go back. It's important to have a lot of fuel and just enough supplies to make it... No. No, get me out. Holy shit, they're all... Fuck off. And another pirate, what the fuck? Okay. But anyway, that works out. Because I have such a small fleet, I could attempt to disengage and it would be fine. If you do die, I do recommend that you play on armor, by the way. If you do die with the spacer start, you will start out with a kite and you will lose a part of your money. This always happens in vanilla, but you don't start with a kite, you would start with whatever ships you started out with. So for example, a typical start would be Wayfarer plus kite, for example. I think is one of the most common ones that you can get. So you just start with the ships you would start at the beginning. So in this case, I will lose my dram. I will lose, I think it takes 30% of all your money. So I will lose like, what, 40k? And I would be in a civilized planet again, or a civilized system. So that could be like, I don't know, Syndria, for example, right? Or Asconia, sorry. Syndria is the faction name. And then I could carry on from there. So if you do die, it's not the end. You can continue. You don't actually die. And yep, at this point you can look to continue making some money while you look for the ships that you want, or you can start branching out. At this point, for example, what you could do is buy a Colossus, which is a transport ship, preferably no demods. You could also buy Tarsus, you could buy a variety of different transport ships, right? And you could start trading. That's the safest and easiest way to make money. You will want to do your transactions on the black market, but that's easy enough to do. A good place to buy ships in the early game is here in Nova Maxios, because you can have your transponder off and nobody in the system cares. There's barely any pirates in the system, even though it's kind of their capital. You can dock on the Trachyon planet to buy cool ships potentially. Nova Maxios is a size 5 independent world, which means that they have pretty much the highest tier of ships that independents have access to. You can find even heavy cruisers in here. And you can also technically find apogees. And you can sell anything you want in Kantasden. In vanilla, there's a very broken trading route that you can do, which is you come over here to Nomios, and in Nomios you can buy organs. And in vanilla, not in modern necessarily, but in vanilla, Kantasden is always demanding organs. So you can buy organs at like 200 credits here, and then sell them here for 600. And you can just loop here. What you can do is you can buy the organs here, sell them here. Kantasden is almost always going to be selling very cheap drugs. You can take the drugs to anywhere you want and then take anything back to Nomios. Nomios is usually demanding basically anything that isn't organs, because they only produce organs. And then you can basically do a triangle of trading, which is really good. In modded, this is not necessarily going to work, but yeah, we have 2 more missions now. Oh my god, there's 2 in the same system. Okay, we'll go do that. I am going to restock on... Okay, pirates, I guess. No. This is close to Salamanca, yes, perfect. Now, if you find cool things, another thing you can do is you can put them on abandoned stations. There's a few of them with the sector, so I can leave my gamma core there, for example. I'm just gonna... That is a pirate. Just buy more supplies, buy more fuel. No need to replace the crew because no one has died. I'm a good captain. And you can constantly look for ships that you would want, right? Like I could buy an Eradicator, for example. It doesn't really serve any purpose because I'm not going to be making use of it, but you can, if you want. You can look for missions. Maybe you can find a cheap ship that you can buy. But yeah, I think the best strategy is to just continue doing this until you have the ships that you want. Because you're actively exploring, right? And you're likely, or at least decently likely, to find... Just run away from the pirates. You're decently likely to find an apogee while exploring. Like it's a non-zero chance that happens. At this point, I would have definitely, if I was playing by myself, I would have definitely looking to have at least a wayfarer, preferably. That is really strange. What the fuck is going on here? I've never seen that. But yeah. With the wayfarer, you can carry enough supplies and crew, and a mudskipper preferably, to salvage a apogee or like a Colossus you find that is in good condition or whatever. Pretty much any ship, just mothball it and you will be fine. So where are the things here? Inactive gate. Both are is this the same ship? The minor probe. Okay. Two different ships. Venture is another really good ship that you could try to get your hands on. But this is demodded to hell, and Ventures are very easy to find. If you don't find an apogee, Venture is a good second ship that you can get. But yeah, now I have a ton of money. Currently I'm 50k. With that I could buy a Prometheus and an Atlas if I want. And then I could start trading, or I could continue salvaging stuff, because I could also buy a... I'm not gonna do that research station because it's a modded research station. The sales system is an interesting system to explore if you have the HMI mod. The main probe. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, nothing much here. It was really just the gate, I guess. and we can just go back. I do strongly recommend that you install, if you don't want to do any mods besides Nexerelin, at least get SpeedUp. It's such a blessing. Yeah, that's about it. The beginning is beat. I'm just gonna go over to any big system. For example, we can go to Kulan, I guess. I like Kulan specifically because it has high-tech ships, or the chance to have high-tech ships. And just buy bigger ships, and then we basically beat the early game. The Spacer start is trivialized completely. Can you be a little bit louder, please? Thank you. And yeah, I mean, you can just continue doing these missions. You don't need to buy any bigger ships if you're worried that you might lose them. Doom is pretty interesting there, but yeah, at this point I would just buy 2 of these. I don't see what I'm looking for here, ideally, but you can buy a Nebula, you can buy Venture, and Pathium. I didn't buy one yet. Then at this point you can just sell the stuff you don't care about anymore. And now you have a pretty good fleet to go explore stuff. You will want to obviously get people. That is enough people, just. I would say if you can get about, I think it's like 700 crew. It's the maximum amount that you're going to be asked to have in order to survey planets. But yeah, just carry as many as you want with it. Get fuel, max amount of fuel that you can carry, get supplies, and just go out there and continue scouting. And yeah, let's do the whole mods quickly. So for all the civilian ships, you're gonna want basically the same setup. And you can just apply it quickly. Boom. For this guy, it's the same thing. Boom. And this, boom. Boom. Done. For equipment that you would want on your whatever survey ship you were able to get your hands on. I like an ion beam because it disables ships. There's no ion beam here. Okay, none of these weapons are really what I'm looking for. In vanilla, you would want harpoons, MRMs ideally. For the small slots, then for the medium slots, you would want again harpoons, but the medium version. You can find those in pirate planets and Persian League planets pretty often. I believe those are the most likely ones to find. You can also do breaches, it's fine. They're a little bit worse for the purpose of what we're doing, but other than this, you will want probably 2 hypervelocity guns or heavy autocannons. Those are pretty easy to find in either Hegemony or Persian League. And for the medium, you can again do the ion beam. You can find those in Tritachyon or Independent Worlds usually. I think the Persian League planets can also have them. In this case, for this ship, you're only gonna do military subsystems because you're gonna need the other ordnance points. I'll finish equipping it and I will call it there. A bunch of modest stuff, but another really good module that you want is surveying equipment, because that allows you to have this whole mod, which is really good at the beginning for what we're doing, in your other ships, and you can S-mod it if you want to on any of these ships with a story point, which I don't have any because I'm still level 1, to get an even bigger benefit. And basically you just scam planets for really little money, and then you sell the surveys for a lot more money. And you can also find ruins when you're exploring and get other good items. They're gonna do a stop search. I don't care, I don't have anything bad. You'll lose a little bit of reputation and some supplies, but it doesn't matter. And do we have 2 heavy molders? I can do that. I can play with 2 heavy molders here. And sure, pure pulse laser, why not? This is just so that you can kill some of the easier enemies. You're not looking to pick fights when you're running this kind of fleet. Dedicated targeting core. And yeah, this is a decent enough setup. If you have expanded missile racks, then you would put that on. Guess I could do Insulated Engine Assembly just to have a bit of smaller window, and then you would probably want actually a transport ship. Purple Mudskippers, please. Any mudskippers? No. Okay. Let's see here. 2k money, whatever. Did I say mudskippers before? I meant wafers. Well, that's what I get. But it's fine. Even like this, we can go and do more missions. Analyze the right ship. Sure, buddy. Lost a little bit of rep, but it's on the opposite side. Sadly, I already accepted the mission. Greetings. I believe they will chase me down, so I'll try to fight this, I guess. If I die, it's fine. Okay. As you can see, the Venture has enough punch for this kind of fight. I am out of harpoons, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, even this super beginning setup is enough to beat a tiny pirate fleet that might come for you. It's not a pilot weapon. And yep. Again, from here, I could have looted the Cerberuses. Salvage. The Spacer Star is beat. At this point, you're just gonna have to pay a little bit more money for the rest of your playthrough, but like, it's whatever. You just continue doing missions, you get more money, you get more ships that you want, and then you're done. That's it. Thank you for watching, hope it helped you, and see you around.